So in terms of getting confidence, and that's something as I work with my clients as well too, it's almost like confidence is like a trained skill, right? So if you're new at anything, you will lack the confidence. If you've never jumped out of a plane before, you will. Every time you step in front of there, it doesn't matter what it is, you'll kind of shake and like now just like hey. But the more you do it, although the fear doesn't really go away totally, but you're able to show up there and don't let it affect you one bit, right? So I believe the core thing with the confidence, and just like with my programs, I know, especially with our coaching clients, we meet them. We've kind of structured it to where we meet 6 days a week, twice a day, and that core thing is just state management. Because I realized that when I look at all my successful students, I realized that the ones who succeed, it's not because they were smarter, or it's not because they were they had most of all the degrees or whatever. It's just they just managed the state a lot differently. Like whatever task you put in front of them, it was almost like, let's make this thing happen.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Wealth of Real Estate Investing podcast. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke, and today we have Extus Justin. He is the consultant of consultants. Extus helps coaches and consultants take their knowledge and expertise and use it to make a difference in other people's lives. He believes one of the fastest ways to have the greatest impact on the world is through coaching and consulting. Extus, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing awesome, Dwayne. Thank you so much for having me. It's definitely a pleasure being here.
Actually, absolutely. Look forward to it. We was kind of chatting pre-show, just kind of getting to know each other, and find out you're from where is it again?
St. Lucia.
St. Lucia. So it's like I said, I haven't been to that island. I think I maybe stopped there on a cruise one time in the Caribbean. But like I said, this is a beautiful country, and look forward to when I get to that neck of the woods to take a visit. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, so just kind of talking about your intro, you're the coaches of coaches and stuff like that. And for people who are not familiar with what that is, can you talk about how you got started in that business and a little bit about your industry?
Yeah. So what I do, and I think the core thing I relate is because I know your audience is also individuals, real estate entrepreneurs, and all these different things. So I think the core connect with why I kind of meet the audience at is just running an online business and being able to get business, generate business from the online world. In essence, I don't know whether it's a product or service or something like that, but that's the core realm. So just being able to do online business through whether it's advice or being able to generate business from the online world. And in terms of my story-wise, again, I grew up on St. Lucia, moved to the US when I was like 18 years old, joined the US Marines, spent like 8 years in there. And I remember at like the 7.5 year mark, I hurt my knee and I was like, okay, what am I going to do for income? Like what am I going to do now? And I didn't have any degrees, no certifications, nothing to my name. And I'm like, what exactly am I going to do? And that's kind of when I stumbled upon, I went through the whole cycle, whether it was the real estate, like trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this? Do I get into real estate? Do I do e-commerce? Do I do consultant coaching? Like, what do I do? And I really wasn't sure. So I just decided, well, my knee, it was kind of like, from being in the US Marines, just the physical toll, it just took a toll on my body to where my knees just weren't the same. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And that's when I had about $30,000 of savings in my bank account. And I was like, I'm just going to get out of the US Marines and I'll figure it out. I know I want to be an entrepreneur. Not sure what exactly. I had some ideas, but I just thought I was going to figure it out. So I took the 30,000, moved over to California, Buena Park, the Orange County area. And I'm not sure if you've been down there, you've lived down there, but California for a new entrepreneur who has no income coming in, that it gets expensive pretty fast. Yeah, so I had the 30 grand within like about like 2 to 3 months. I had blown through 20 grand out of the 30, and I only had like about 8 grand left. I'm like, what do I do now? Like business isn't working. I haven't figured anything out, and I'm literally going broke. But long story short, it was a lot of, for the first 2 years of my business, all I did was just get myself in a whole bunch of debt, trying to figure out, okay, how do I make a business or how do I build a business? And the core shift came for me when, again, trying to keep this to what I believe the core elements of what the audience is interested in is growing, whether it's growing a business or getting clients online or being able to find individuals who need your services, I think the core thing that shifted for me was number one, figuring out what I was going to offer, what that was, and for me, it happened to be consulting. So what I ended up going out and doing was saying, okay, how do what really worked for me was going out to helping local businesses just with their marketing. And with that business, when I went out there, I was able to grow that to about 80 grand per month, just helping individuals. I'm doing like a done for you service. And that's when I saw how just by using my advice, individuals were like saying, well, you help businesses, but how are you doing this? And that's why I kind of like stumbled upon, oh, now I can actually teach others how to do what I was doing. And that's kind of where the coaching aspects came into it. I know that's a whole big overview, but I guess we could dig into any specific questions, anything that comes up for you as we go through.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great story. But a lot of people probably, their main question is they have knowledge to share. They're passionate about something, and they know that, other people, will need that knowledge and can benefit from that. Like, what are some steps on how then they can kind of refine their niche or find out where to start in order to start that journey?
Yeah. So I think the biggest one is just number one, even before someone even gets to that point, because I realize there's so many people who have the idea, but they just don't believe that they can do it. So I believe that's the first thing. You have to, whether you watch other people's success stories or whether you just see how other people are doing it right in front of your eyes, which is going on social media, YouTube, and seeing how others are teaching and creating businesses out of that. So I believe the first thing is just to get yourself to a point where you do believe it's possible to, because I know that once someone does believe something is possible, that's when they'll actually kind of get away from the consumption and they'll start say, how do I now do this? So I think that's a core thing. Now, once you get to a point where you're like, okay, now how do I do this? I think the second thing, as far as with the niche wise, is to really kind of look back on your own life and figure out what you've done. Just like I know what's going on with COVID today, COVID-19, how it's ultimately, I was talking to one of my clients, and before he joined our program, his thing was he was working at a job, he's an accountant, and what happened was with his company, they like literally reduced his paycheck by 30%.
Wow.
It's like, whoa, what's and it's like,
big
he has
chunk.
no control over it. Yeah, that's a big chunk, right? Yeah. So, and I believe that, so what the core thing, the reason why I share all this is because, again, I believe we're moving into a whole new different age to where information, advice, being able to help individuals is the key. And it's almost come from a frame of how in the past, I guess the best way I could describe it is how advertising was before, where it was all of these big corporations who had the marketing budgets, who had all the kind of like the monopoly, and they were showing us the ads, to where if you look at what's happening today, it's like the kids on YouTube where they're like just showing stuff or whatever, but in between they're selling products, whether they're selling their own products or brands are getting these individuals to kind of do the marketing for them to generate them the leads. So I believe that the core way, if someone wanted to figure out what do I do with coaching and consulting, how do I find a niche, is to ultimately look back on your life, realize that there's information, there's things you've spent your entire life mastering. And to you, it might be second knowledge, but to someone else, it's the world, and they will pay you not just a few hundred, but sometimes thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to learn directly from you.
Yeah, I like that a lot, because you mentioned that it's something that you think is second knowledge and is easy for you. There's some people that you can just tell them one thing and can really help them and transfer it in their life. And you mentioned the kind of the accounting business where you kind of used to just physically go into the office, and now it's like everything's virtual. Now everything's like, maybe accountant needs to learn how to use Zoom and sell and initiate with clients and customers and things like that. So it's definitely cute. And the other thing that you had mentioned as well that I'll ask you about, as far as kind of how the big corporations used to dominate as far as kind of marketing, and feel like it was kind of closed off. But now with the internet, social media, and all these different forms of multimedia, that is more, anyone can get into this type of business. And so can you talk about some of your marketing strategies or that you can suggest for people to kind of start? I know you do a lot of podcasting, a lot of social media stuff that people can use to ramp up their business.
Yeah. So I think the core, because I believe in our principles, right? So whenever we do things, there's the shiny objects and the flashy things that they're here today and they're gone tomorrow. But then there's principles, and the principles are what stays when it all fades. What's left, and you realize the principles are what's left. So I think the core principle of what's just to be successful, whether it's in begin clients or whatever, is I believe number one is you gotta build an audience. And for me, what an audience is, an audience could be one person, it could be two, it could be three, but you have to have a way of once you realize, once you figure out what you're good at, you have to have a way to get individuals to find out about you. Not going for sales yet, but just as a way to say, how do I kind of grow my network every single day? And there's different levels to this. Just like, so example, what an audience might be to someone just getting started might be, well, let's say this person wants to help. Let's say maybe they're into real estate. They want to sell a certain type of maybe house or a certain type of package or something. Well, the first thing is to, okay, figure out who exactly is a good buyer for that type of apartment or whatever it is that you want to sell. And then the second thing might be, well, right now you have Facebook, you have like 20 friends, but all of them are just family members and friends. So the audience might be, well, let's go out there and add maybe 5 people per day to that audience. So you're not 100% sure that they do want what you have to offer, but it's almost like there's a potential that they do want it, right? So for me, that's like growing an audience on a small scale, which is, again, you're here today, you're good at something, and you're now doing something proactively to get individuals to find out about what you do, which is add in a few friends per day. So that's one way to get started. But I believe that the core problem we need to solve in business is to kind of figure out how do we know, number one, know who we sound to, but once we figure out who we sound to, how do we get our name out there faster on a larger scale? Granted, knowing that in the back end, you have your back end systems, you kind of know you have the conversion, everything already set up to when a lead comes in front of you, you kind of have a process to take them through to have them turn into a paying client. But on the front end, which I believe, and that's what I think about with business, because most individuals who, whether they buy programs, whether it's a 6-week program, 8-week program, a year-long program, don't get me wrong, the programs are great, but what they don't really teach them in the programs is that there's certain elements of your business that once you get into business, it never stops. Like you can never arrive. And the first place is your audience. Your audience could never be big enough, right? That's one of those places when you get onto this industry, like you have to realize that every single day or however long you work in your business, that's just an ongoing thing that you have to keep doing constantly.
Absolutely. And then speaking of that, because I'm just thinking, like, say if you kind of got something going, you got your back end systems going, you got, you're doing stuff each and every day, and then you have that feeling where like you're constantly putting in as much time and effort and you want to kind of take it to the next level. Can you talk about maybe delegation, creating teams and systems to help you expand and help build that business?
Oh yeah, definitely. And teams are so important because I know when I was just getting started, and all of us as we were just getting started, it's just us. And I think my biggest mistake I made as I was growing my business is not building my team fast enough, right? Thinking that I didn't have enough money or resources to bring on a team. And when I broke out of that cycle, I remember my first team member I ever brought on was someone I found, at the time it was Odesk.
Yeah.
Not Odesk, sorry, Elance at the time. I went on there and really, I just sold the person a dream because there was a certain task I needed done. I knew that I didn't have the budget, the funds to afford that. But what I sold that person was on the dream of saying, hey, if we could figure this out, if we could do this, and just sold my vision, which is a vision for having them be around long term and having them be my go-to person for that specific thing. When I got them work for me, I was like, wow, like entrepreneurship, it's really about having a vision and being able to enroll other people into your vision, right? So it's not really about the money. But coming back to growing teams, I guess a couple of concepts, and again, for me, because I'm the place where I'm at, I've done so much within the teams and all these different things. So I might just hit on a few pieces. I think that the second thing for me when it came to teams was connecting teams, right? So I remember when I first got started, it was just myself and maybe my VA, and we had this back and forth communication, and we kept in touch via Skype and stuff like that. And I did that for a while, but when I started adding more team members, it was almost like I was talking to this one person. I would have a conversation, we'd be working on a project, all these different things. Then when I wanted to include another person, that conversation with that person shut down. I had to go talk to this person, and we did this thing. And I had a team of maybe 4 of us or 5 of us, but it was still like each person, it was like almost like freelancers doing whatever. And I was the connect versus when I started introducing my team members to each other, all of a sudden it was like, the team just almost like took on a dynamic of its own And an app I use to manage my team is called Workplace. I love Workplace. I think Facebook, by Facebook. And the way I organize my teams as well too is because we have about maybe 20, 30 people in our company. I create these groups, right? So, because I believe the core problem in a business is, number one, when we bring together people, we don't give them the vision. We bring team members in our business to just do a specific task, but we never start off with like, what are we trying to do here? What's a big picture vision of where we were headed and what are we trying to do? And I find that when I was first getting started, I used to give people tasks and they would only perform to their task. They would just, well, here's what you told me to do, and I did it. I'm like, well, that's not really what it is, because in my mind, I'm like, it's taking us further away, but like, well, that's what you said. Versus today, the way I communicate with my team is just, I always start off with a vision, like, here's where we're trying to go. And I find someone from that level, all of a sudden the team, it gives them almost like, and you could tell pretty rapidly, because some team members, when you give that big picture vision, some team members will still be like the one track mind, which is, okay, I see this, but I'll just do this one thing and they just perform there. Versus there's other team members, when they see that thing, they're like, whoa, that's some cool stuff. I'm working on this right here, but that's where we're trying to go. Okay, not only am I going to do this, but I'm going to do this, and all these different types of things. And it's almost like they just build this life of their own, man. It's just exciting to watch.
Hey, this is Dwaine Clarke, host of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And I want to share with you a great resource that I'm using right now from my website. For a long time, I thought I was doing the right things with my search engine optimization. But after having a conversation with my friend Chris Reed over at Ardo SEO, I found out I'm not even scratching the surface. I am missing out on tons of business and opportunities. So if you're struggling like me to get more customers and leads to your website, which is the main point of having one, then you need to call my friends over at Ardo SEO. These guys will do a complete audit of your website, a full market research report, and build you a customizable, actionable game plan that will transform your website from where it is today to a website that drives your business forward and achieve your goals. I'm very fortunate that for my listeners, Chris is hooking us up with a video review of your website that he will do personally. So to take advantage of this, please leave us a review on this podcast and go to the link in the show notes below, or go to ardoseo.com and remember to tell them that Dwaine sent you.
Yeah, I like that everyone's kind of feels like a part of it, and they see the vision and they just want to grow with it and, be a part of, building something huge. So I like that a lot.
Exactly.
Can you talk about, because as I mentioned before, how people can kind of get into the space with the power of social media and mass media marketing, but what can, as far as like separating from people who, because I would say everything is a commodity because everyone can sell anything. But as far as people, what's giving the confidence of charging higher fees and separating yourself from other coaches that's potentially in that space? You can talk about kind of like getting the confidence and why should people charge higher fees for some of their products and services?
Yeah. So in terms of getting confidence, and that's something, as I work with my clients as well too, it's almost like confidence is like a trained skill, right? So if you're new at anything, you will lack the confidence. If you've never jumped out of a plane before, you will, every time you step in front of there, it doesn't matter what it is, you'll kind of shake and like, now just like, hey. But the more you do it, although the fear doesn't really go away totally, but you're able to show up there and don't let it affect you one bit, right? So I believe the core thing with the confidence, and just like with my programs, I know, especially with our coaching clients, we meet them, we've kind of structured it to where we meet 6 days a week, twice a day. And that core thing is just state management. Because I realized that when I look at all my successful students, I realized that the ones who succeed, it's not because they were smarter, or it's not because they were they had most of all the degrees or whatever. It's just they just managed the state a lot differently. Like whatever task you put in front of them, it was almost like, let's make this thing happen. Like they just had this confidence in themselves, even if they hadn't done before. They just had that. Like all my clients who recently hit $50,000 per month in his business right there, I kind of think like, what really made it for him? Was it because he was smart? It was like, no, he just had the confidence to say, let's just, what's the thing? What are we trying? And let's just do it. And he did that. So that's the first one, the confidence. And that's, I believe it's a trained skill, which is you got to get in a routine of getting yourself in state and feeling what being in state feels like versus what it doesn't feel like. And then you start realizing that, holy goodness, I'm going through my day. And when I look at my state compared to what state is versus what it's not, I'm never in state. So I can never be certain of what results I can get. So I'm always like second guessing myself. So that's the first thing, state-wise. Now, when it comes to pricing-wise, again, there's if you look around the marketplace, there's people who sell all different types of things. There's people who sell $9 ebooks, $50, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $20,000. There's all these different, like a scale. And I find that for myself, one of the things I really realize is that, especially when you're teaching someone how to do something, because 9 times out of 10, the reason why people don't get results, the reason why most people don't have what they want is, number one, they haven't really paid, they're not invested in that thing, to where it's like almost like they call like burning the bridges. Like if you want to figure out how to win a war, and there's like 100 people out there and there's like 5 of you guys, how do you win the war? Well, number one, you don't have the boats there and let your team see, hey, there's a way out. Because when they see the 100 people marching towards them, a couple of them gonna run, and that's gonna trigger a few others to run with you. So if you burn the boats, hey, there's no going back.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things I realized with high tickets, it's one of those places where when you charge someone a higher fee, because what we do when we teach someone how to do something, especially the realm we're in, the world we're in, is transformation. We're really getting people to become a better version of themselves. And everybody wants it, but at the end of the day, when you see the results, like people think they want it, but when you step in front of it and you have to make that transformation, it becomes difficult because we want to stay who we are, right? Versus saying, hey, no, just push yourself, just go through. I know it'll be uncomfortable, just go through it. And the version of you you'll become on the other side, it's 1,000 times better than who you are right now, right? So I think that's one of the core reasons in terms of charging high tickets, as far as saying, okay, hey, that's why I know for myself, that's why I charge high ticket, because I know that when someone comes and works with us, I know that number one, I'm absolutely confident that we can help them get the results. And number two, they won't quit on themselves. They will stick through because they've invested that high ticket fee. And then the final thing I'll say about charging higher fees is that, again, in the marketplace, we all have 24 hours, right? So it's 24 hours per day. And you could either be out there trying to sell $50 products, $100 products, $1,000 products, or you could be selling $6,000 products, $10,000, $15,000 products. And if we all have the same time, I would much rather figure out how do I sell these higher price things versus how do I sell these lower ticket things, because again, it's all a choice, right?
I like that a lot. Absolutely. Well, so what's like an ideal person that can work work in your coaching programs, and then also can you lay out the different types of programs and ways that people can get started?
Yeah, so the ideal person, because with our transformation, we're really specific about who we help. I know the individuals who really come to us are individuals who, again, they're in the type of coaching, consultant type of advice field, right? To where the way they make money is through advice. They give advice. So when I find that the 2 core individuals who come to us are, number one, individuals who might be just getting started and they're just not sure, okay, what do I have to offer? Like, how do I find a niche that I could basically put myself into and get people to pay me money? Because I realized that, and that's really the place where it takes myself and my team the longest to get someone, is to say, hey, I know you have all these big dreams and you want to move fast, but we got to make sure we get the market right. Because if we don't get it right, you could do all of this work and still end up at the end broke, no money, and still trying to figure out, what do I do now? So I believe that, so individuals who come to us, again, they were given advice and they're just trying to figure out, okay, how do I take what I know? Like, how do I, number one is what I have, the knowledge I have, is it monetizable? Can I make money out of this? And we show them how to do that. Then the second thing we also show individuals how to do as well too is those individuals who might have already got started and they're like, okay, I'm getting a few clients here and there. I'm getting one paying client there, but it's like really inconsistent. Every month it's like you never know. It's almost like rolling a dice. Hey, this month I got 6, this month I got 2, this month 1, and so forth. There's no predictability. And with those individuals, what we basically help them do is shift more into like a group coaching type process. Because I know when someone hits those ups and downs in the businesses, number one, it's most likely because either they have the businesses set up to where they're either doing a whole bunch of marketing to get clients, or they've got a lot of clients and they're not doing any marketing. So we help them build more systems, automations in their businesses to where the system does the work, the client delivery system, there's a lot of automation. About 89% of that, the delivery when you take on a client is there. And then the client attraction side of things is about 80-90% of all the heavy lifting is done by systems for us. So that's ultimately the core places where individuals are typically at when they realize, okay, they really need our services and stuff like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And so kind of learn a little bit more about you. I know we had kind of chatted before we started recording, but what's like a typical work day for you? And do you have any special morning routines?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so morning routines, right? I'm a big fan of inevitability thinking, meaning that whenever I try to do things, because when I was first getting started on my journey, I used to be the type of guy who forces myself to do things. I was like, hey, that's this is what success is. So I used to try to make things happen in the world. And that was where, because in my own story as well too, I lost so much money when I was just starting my business. I lost like $30,000 in my personal savings, about 70 grand in my retirement savings, and racked up like a $30,000 credit card bill. So I was like $130,000 in the
Wow.
hole and hadn't really figured anything else out. And in California, in like a 570 square foot apartment, trying to like, what am I doing? Like, how do you do this? But I kind of think back on my own journey, like how I got there, and I realized the core piece of it was I was trying to go out into the world and make things happen, versus today, and even when I was back there, I used to be the guy who wakes up like maybe 4 o'clock in the morning and doesn't stop till like maybe 6, 7, 8 at night and just repeating the process. But I think the biggest shift, and really it's my morning routine. And again, as I said, I like to think in terms of inevitability thinking, more principles-based processes. And my morning starts off about maybe 4. I just get up at like 4. So I have breakfast. I kind of go through my own personal little ritual where I might work out, just eat, and really take care of my state. And that's something I teach my clients as well too, because I believe that the life is based on, we have a whole bunch of, most people, I guess for myself, the way I used to think about life before was life was just life. It was just all mixed together. But then the more I approached, I started realizing that certain things had more priority. Like there were certain things, the whole 80-20, which is certain few things give you the biggest leverage. And I thought about my life, like what in my life gives me the biggest leverage? And I realized that number one is my state. What state am I in? And I realized that before I was conscious of my state, I just used to go through my day, which is just saying, here, I'll just wake up and just go do this thing. I felt this way, this person does it, and just a whole roller coaster. But I wasn't aware of it. I didn't know. But now a core chunk of my day is how I start off my day saying, what can I do to get myself in state? And what I mean by state is that, and the way I do it for myself is I try to find the best athletes in the world, the best performers, people like the Kobe Bryants, the LeBron Jameses, the Warren Buffett, all these guys, and try to say, what state do these guys live in on a day-to-day basis? And you could see whether it's Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, when you watch when in their own realm, how when they showed up to their game, how they showed up. And you realize, man, these guys are relentless. Like when they show up to the basketball court, it's like they are unstoppable and they're just like fully focused. So I realized that when I checked out, when I looked at myself, I realized that what's my state? Number one, I had never been aware of it. And when I started really paying attention to it, I realized like, man, these states I'm in, like, how can even, like, if this was a sport to where I was surrounded by others, I would be like in last place. So I had to figure out, okay, what's my state? And I kind of like got a routine for training my state. So that's the first thing I do in terms of my day, because I know that if my state is there, doesn't matter how bad things are. If I have that state, I could figure it out. So the second thing, my second chunk is then my health, because I realized that after you get your state settled, which is saying, okay, you're just unstoppable, doesn't matter. Nothing out there could affect you. It's just in you. Once you get that figured out, the next thing I realized was that food, like if you don't figure out how to get good nutritious food in your body or take care of your health in some way, just like let's say if you haven't fasted or whatever, if you try to say, I'm not going to eat all day, doesn't matter how optimistic or positive you are, eventually that's going to start catching up to you and you get irritated and all these different things. So when I took care of my state, the next thing I realized was that I got to take care of my health, my food, which is diet and exercise. And that's the next part of my day, which is saying, okay, I know that if I'm in a great state, but I know that if I don't take care of my body and my health and eat right and eat foods that give me energy, I won't be able to use that state most effectively. So my second routine is just my state for my, what he calls just my health, like what do I want to do? Maybe drinking a green drink, I'm going for a run, eating a salad, but something that's going to get me my state good, keep my state where it needs to be. And then the third chunk is just results in advanced, which is saying the place where we're at today, which is everything that's around me, everything that's around you, Dwaine, it's what we already got, which means that the more you see stuff, you just get more of what you already got. But we have to find a way to almost go meta, which is we have to rise above what we got and see something new, something different, something that's better, that's not already there. So our mind could start pulling us to that. So the third part of my day, which is just visualization, to sit and visualize. And I do visualization in several different like levels. I might do it for visualizing a new habit. I might do it for visualizing that end result of what I want my life to look like 5 years from now. I might do it in terms of what do I want my business to look like, and all these different pieces. But I spend some time each morning just visualizing that future that I want that's not already there, and start living like it's already here. Because I know if I don't do that, then I'll just keep trying to fulfill what's already around me, right?
I like that a lot. Yeah, it's definitely that morning routine gets you that day started and kind of makes everything else happens after that. So
Exactly.
I appreciate you sharing that. Are there any tools or resources? I know you had mentioned some that you use for your team that help you kind of manage your day, or planners or things like that you use as well.
Yeah. So that's very interesting that you say that as well too. And I do have some of these, but the core place. I think that one of the things I did, because when I first, because with my model, we more focus on more of the group coaching type stuff as well. And when I got to about $330,000 per month in my business, one of the things I did, because I had a lot of individuals saying, hey, how did you do this? How are you doing this? And for me, I always believe in giving away more value than you expect to get back in return. I think Jim Rohn, he said it best. He said, you get paid for the amount of value you have in the marketplace, right? So one of the things I did was I put together this free training. It's about 5 modules, because I know a big part about why most individuals aren't getting the results, because some people already have some of the mindset, but they just don't know what to do, which is the techniques, the actual, how do you structure the business? What do you do? How do you get clients? All these different things. So I have a free course I typically give away. And for your audience, if they're interested, again, it's gonna be like a limited time offer, but if someone's interested, I could definitely just give away that course. And I just share some of the things. Again, it's not every single thing, but it's just the core principles I've learned that's helped me grow my business. And I believe if someone was really serious, if they really need to figure something out, get clients, figure out how to charge more, they could just use that to get some of those results. And I'll share it as well too. So I guess it might be on the bottom or somewhere on this page or something.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. We'll make sure to include that in the show notes. And I think everyone's going to be definitely excited to get it, take advantage of that. And because there's always things that we can need to improve, to build our businesses, and things that tweaks, and especially learning from your years of experiences and all the different levels that you went, and people want to get there as well. So I appreciate you offering that. And I always ended the interview kind of asking this, and it's kind of a nice segue out is, what are you most grateful for?
Oh man, that's a question I ask every single morning as well too. And for me, for me, I'm just grateful for the simple things in life, right? Because I've had money, I haven't had money. I've created success, I lost it all. And I think at the end of the day, number one, family. Because family, if you have a really good supportive family, whether it's your mom, dad, uncle, brother, sister, whatever, but grateful for someone that cares about you, who that has your back no matter what. So that's my core thing I'm grateful for. And then the second thing I'm grateful for is health. Because at the end of the day, health is one of those places where the minute we don't have it, the life we have, the things we complain about, all of a sudden health puts everything into perspective.
Exactly.
So realizing that, man, like compared to what other people are, how other people are living, and what's going on with them, and the issues they have to face, and all these different things, compared to where I'm at, I have nothing to feel bad about. I'm grateful. So those are really my 2 big ones.
Yeah, very well said. I definitely agree with that. So you mentioned that you're going to give us a copy of the course, but is any other contact information how we can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I think the core way, because I'm really big on community. I feel like, because I thought about that as well too, because sometimes there's PDFs, all these different things, but I find that if you really want to learn, the best way to learn, and as my thinking goes, inevitably thinking, which is, it's not about saying, how do I just go one piece of thing, but how do I surround myself almost like in a long-term way of the people I aspire to be? I know that's really how I try to surround myself with people who, again, whether they're coaches, consultants, or there's someone who offers advice. They're trying to grow and they're trying to become better. And what I did is I built a private Facebook group. It's called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle. I think right now we just surpassed 6,300 members or 7,300 members. So we have a pretty solid group of individuals in there. If anyone ever wanted to learn more about me or how to connect, again, I'm in that group constantly. And my whole goal is to help you, just whatever I can do to help you rise up to that next level, and just to share as much as I've learned, so you can avoid all the mistakes in terms of what it takes to build a successful business, and be able to just create that smooth transition, that smooth, like almost like smooth sailing to build whatever that level of business that you want to build. And if you're not into quick fixes, but you're more into surrounding yourself with people who are better than you, or who are more advanced than you, as Warren Buffett says, surround yourself with the 5 closest people you're surrounded to. That's ultimately the average of who you are. So if you want to be around people who are better, smarter, and more advanced, so you could propel yourself forward and get the result that you want, then I would highly recommend coming to check out our Facebook group. Again, it's called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle. We'd definitely love to have you on there.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. And yeah, that's definitely big, because it's like I said, it's all about the community and, learning from people that probably went through a mistake that you don't want to go through. And you had mentioned smooth sailing and just kind of navigating, because it's a business and you have ups and downs. So hopefully you can find ways to minimize and, get to reach your goal as quickly and then less painfully as possible. Exactly. But Extus, it was a pleasure speaking with you. We learned a lot and really appreciate you talking to our audience, and we'll look forward to connecting again soon. We'll make sure to have all of your information and links in the show notes, so people can join the community and get in contact with your services.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dwayne. Really appreciate it. Awesome show. And guys, if you're watching this, number one, definitely leave Dwayne a case study, something on that, because he's doing an amazing job here. So if you're someone because I really believe in whatever you put out there, you get back more of. So if you're a coach, consultant, or real estate, anything, if you want into people to give you that social proof, that credibility, start first, go first, right? Just leave it for someone, and that kind of feedback will come back to you. So again, if you've been tuning into Dwayne show, even if this is your first time, be sure to leave an awesome review, because it'll come back to you as well too.
I really appreciate that. All right, thank you so much, my friend, and look forward to connecting again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Dwayne.
All right, take care.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at DwaineLClarke.com, as well as find us on Facebook for more useful content and resources.